So my first memory was actually in my mother's womb, in the fetus position, and cognitively, I could actually do this like a typical fetus, and I couldn't talk, obviously, I'm only a fetus, but cognitively, I actually said to myself, hands.
I really don't feel good. You're getting a...
Is anyone here? What did you find?
You are listening to Supernatural Confessions.
And I could tell when it's daylight or night and when my mom is moving, right? Because you're in the womb, so when it's daylight, you can see this brownish from the sun, you know, light or whatever, you know. So I thought that was uncanny when I grew older, and I'm like, how come I can talk to myself? So that was my kind of like first encounter of being weird or odd. My second encounter was before the age of 3. I was looking into the mirror, talking to myself in the mirror, and said hi to myself in the mirror. Your name is Wendy. You are Wendy here in this lifetime. This is what you look like, but your soul don't look like this, doesn't look like this. So if you were to dream and exit, if your soul goes traveling at night, just remember to remember this face and come back to that body. I could say that to myself at 3 years old, meaning I understood dimensions at the age of 3. Parents will always say, you're imagining, don't talk nonsense. Thank God, my grandma, my maternal grandma, for some reason, understands some of these spiritual stuff. She will explain to me, and she's the only person that I kind of like go to if I were to see strange things or experience strange things. For a period of time after 3, I cannot remember specific incidents, but what I remembered was my parents brought me to those Taoist temple. Always bring me there and make me drink that burnt talisman and have to chop this thing on my back. For a period of time, even though both my parents are not Christians, they brought me to Novena Church every Saturday. Until today, when I asked my dad, Mom, you're not Christians, why did you bring me to Novena Church, right? They couldn't answer me and they couldn't explain. So I suspect I was odd. And they were trying always to cure this oddness. So I didn't have a lot of friends. Honestly, I prefer not to have friends. I'm an observer. I like to observe. Like an alien, from a bird's eye view, trying to integrate into today's world. Okay, so I have a few past lives and a few odd dreams. So one of the dreams is, and it's repeated every night. And again, I'm like at this bird's eye view watching me with this exact same hairstyle. So I've got this fringe since I was 3. I have always had this fringe, right? If you remember Xena has this fringe, black hair, very muscular like me. I can show you my muscle. This is not from going to the gym. I've not gone to the gym for 20 years. So physically, genetically, for some reason, I'm very muscular. Yeah. So I figured I was some kind of a warrior, soldier, I don't know. So this repeated dream is me going into this dungeon, caves, with lots and lots of children, all locked up. Like Xena's era, Middle Ages, you know, and I have to like quickly unlock all these cells to release the kids. And then outcome would be like this Satan-looking thing with wings and red eyes. And I'll be fighting Satan. I think it's Satan. And you can imagine it's repeated for many, many years. And I actually fought him and won. And this dream stopped after I became baptized at the age of about 31, 32. I got baptized as a Catholic and it disappeared, okay? So that's one of the dreams or encounters. So the first death I predicted was actually my grandma. She died in November 16th, I think, if I'm not mistaken. And a week before that, I actually quickly finish up my work. You know, that time I was still working for someone, so you have to apply for leave and things like that. I remember telling my family, I think grandma's going to pass away next week, and I think it's going to be a Thursday. So can you all just finish out your housework and whatever, you know, because we have to prepare the funeral. So you can see, yeah, it's so matter of fact, so it's so natural, right? And then my family, usually they don't say anything. They just probably just look at me and like, oh, okay, here she goes again, right? True enough, my grandma actually passed on a Thursday, yeah. And then the second time was my husband's side of the family, and this was in December. I actually said, someone in your family is going to pass away in January before Chinese New Year. I'm not going to name names. It was either A or B. I could say it's A or B. And the person passed on before the first day of Chinese New Year. That means the eve of Zap Ngome. Yeah, so it's very scary that way. And the third one, okay, I wouldn't say he died, but I kind of like saved him. My husband has an uncle in KL. And suddenly I just felt like, we need to go to KL now. We need to drive up now. I think your uncle needs help. Like, he may die. So I just dropped everything, grabbed my husband, took our passport, we just took the car and just drove up to KL. And true enough, we found him facing down in a home alone, and he hasn't eaten for a week. He actually fell, so he couldn't get up. So he has not been eating for a week, and all he's been drinking was the Milo tin beside him and Coca-Cola. So well done, Coca-Cola. Yeah, he survived for a week. So I've got these kind of strange feelings that, you know, or when people are dying, suffering, I feel the vibrations of the world. I call it vibrations of the world. Correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah. In our apartment that we first moved in, it was in Bidadari Cemetery itself at Potong Pasir. We were the first tenants that moved in. So obviously there were no lights, no street lamps. It was very cold, like Peace Center, many rooms, many apartments, no one living there. So I came back from school, and this was in the afternoon, 2-3 p.m. I was still in my school uniform. My sister was rolling on the floor. So you can imagine we had no furniture yet. That means we literally just moved in. The furniture not even there yet. She was rolling on the floor from one end of the master bedroom to the other end and back and forth. So I stood there for a while thinking that she's playing a fool, right? Like, will you stop it? Like, aren't you tired? I actually stood there and looked at her like, aren't you tired? She didn't answer me. She didn't cry. If kids were playing a fool, usually at that age, they would say something. 5-6 years old. She was about 5-6. Because I'm 14, so she's 9 years younger than me, right? Her eyes were just closed shut like this, and she was just rolling like a wheelbarrow, non-stop. That's where I realized, okay, something is not quite right here. So I kind of like grabbed hold of her, put her in front of me. I knelt down. I wasn't a Christian then. I was just no religion then. I do not know what inspired me or who taught me. I went to a convent school, so I knew the basic, which is I did the sign of cross, and I just held her so tight, and I just focused on saying, our Father in heaven, non-stop. And I think that was the first time I saw either Jesus Christ or my guardian angel or a Holy Spirit, because there was this white figure beside me, kneeling in the same position beside me. So that was my very first encounter with something spiritual, positive spiritual. And she woke up after many Our Father in Heaven, and then asked her, what happened? Can you remember? And she said, I can't remember. She wasn't crying or anything. She just said, I can't remember. Oh, the one that was very interesting was also in the afternoon, we were playing tennis in a car park because there was nobody, right? So the whole car park was ours. And this was with a few friends of mine. So I invited some of my friends over. There was at least 4 or 5 of us. So we were playing tennis in the car park. So the tennis ball went over the fence to the cemetery. And it was very strange. The green tennis ball landed in the middle of a banana tree where the young shoots grow. So it was sitting right in the middle, right? And we could see it, right? And it's not just me. I'm talking about like 5-6 other girls, and we were like 14, 15. And we're like, so it's very natural. We're gonna walk over to pick up the ball to continue playing. And the whole group of us basically walked and tried to cross to the other side. And it was less than maybe 10 steps. And the ball came back over the fence and went tuk, 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 tuk. And what was really strange, all of us pretend nothing happened and they just continued playing. And we never spoke about it. We never breathed a word about it. No one said anything. And we all just, all right, let's continue playing. Kids being kids with me. Still a kid. Okay, so me and my other sister, who's also, she's got a third eye. So because no rubbish truck will come in, right? Because we just moved in, right? First tenants. So every night after dinner at 7:30, we need to bring the rubbish out all the way to the main road of Upper Serangoon to throw. So there was one night we were just walking, and then we saw this white figure with the long hair crossing the road, maybe about 20 meters, but we could see her crossing the road. And she was taking her own sweet time, you know, she wasn't afraid that you can see her, you know. She obviously can tell that both of us can see her too. Like they know that we can see. And she stood in the middle of the road and she actually turned her head like this. And then me and my sister kind of like stopped. And then she turned her head back and she continued walking and crossed the road and she disappeared into this humongous tree, at least a few hundred years. So that road was lined with very, very old big trees. So that was my one encounter besides a tennis ball in that estate. If it's a positive entity like the one that was kneeling beside me when I was trying to, I wouldn't use the word exercise, that sounds very serious, pray for my sister. It was very peaceful, very calming in the heart. It's cold as well, but it's not bad cold. It was just nice, like an air-conditioned cold, but you feel peaceful, comfortable cold, okay? The black ones that I see are usually toyos, and they are the cutest. They are very small, very cute, and they always like to hide in the corners. They're usually black, and I don't know why they're black. Maybe because they're either not born yet, so they technically don't have features, so they're always just black shadows, very small, very cute. And I always laugh at them because, like, why you go and hide in the corner? Then you're stuck, how to come out? They're naughty, they're cheeky, but they mean no harm. They like to play hide and seek. Then the rest would be friendly spirits. I could see their clothes, of course with a watermark, not opaque. Sometimes with even patterns, lines on their clothes. When I see those shadows with clothes on, those are the ones somehow I feel that I need to help them to cross over. Then I would go to church, do a donation and pray for souls in purgatory, and I will pray for them to cross over, because I don't think they're standing there right in front of me and they're not moving away for no reason, and they're not scaring me. They're just standing in front of me very peacefully, like waiting and wanting to communicate, but you know, a bit hard but I just guessed, right? So they're very similar to like ancestors coming home on the 7th day. So I've seen my ancestors coming home. Very similar. So to me means getting ready to move over. Okay. The afternoon was in one of the bungalows near Lorong Chuan to be sold, because we were looking for houses with my parents. So my parents always bring me along, right? Because I'm the best person to test whether safe or not safe, right? And this is, again, 2-3 p.m. in the afternoon, like hot sun, right? And I went upstairs first, kepo, went upstairs, and then the window was open. I wanted to see what's outside the window, you know? And on the window, there was a reflection of a green face. Very angry face of a man. And all I could felt is, stay away, go away, don't disturb me. Like, don't you dare buy this house, that kind of feeling. I ran downstairs, I grabbed my dad's hand, and I'm like, no need to go upstairs, let's go now. Yeah. The day before, the night before the 7th month, Chinese 7th month, right? my mother and I went to this Jurong factory to buy something. And I remember after coming home, when we were entering the gate, I live in a house, so there's a main gate, and then there's always a small gate that you can open to enter. And I remember when I entered that small gate, I could feel someone sitting on my shoulder and doing so that he doesn't hit his head. So again, I thought I was imagining, right? It's late already, after buying the stuff. And after that, I had fever. All the way for 1 month. I was sick. But when I went to the doctor says I have no fever. That means on the thermometer, it does not register my fever. But for the whole month, I was just feverish, hot, and the weight on my shoulder, basically it sat on my shoulder for 30 days lah. So ever since then, till today, before 7th month, the night before, it doesn't matter which part of the world I am, my entire family, especially my sisters, would text me, are you home? Remember tomorrow is the 7th month, okay? And at 6 sharp, they will text me again, where are you now? Are you home? And then the last day is when a lot of activity, they will also remind me. So it's been, wow, at least 20 years. Every 7 months, my family actually helped me to remember.
I really don't feel good. This is getting a
Is there anyone here? What did you find?
You are listening to Supernatural Confessions.